let's see if it's working first.
Yeah, and then I can just post it.
It's gonna be real chill about it. That's good. Yeah, but I came over here and this plugged up. Then I got this thing to pop up. Oh yeah, by the way, the cord that you're using, you gotta have a higher. So really, try to go off the depot and find this right quick. God,
How much was it?
oh no, no, cause I mean, I can't use it anyway. I'm not using it for something else.
Oh, all right.
So it's not even gonna matter. Here's on my thing right here. Nerd Nite. That's what I call it.
Okay.
So now I need
you text me the link.
Right. So here we go. Share.
Just do copy link. Yep, and then just text that link to me and I'll get it set up.
Cool. And then that way we can figure out the audio that we can do. So, well, that's good. That's good to know that is good. And message. Here we go.
Sweet. I will get that set up.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, do you want to come take a look?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna move all this stuff.
So you're looking at Xavier's mentor.
All we gotta do, XLR all the way down there.
So what, Mike?
There's a moat box down there. the camera audio. So this is the live. So we just gotta check her thing.
trying to talk in the microphone really quick.
Okay, because he just got finished. He's going to go up there and test the mic right quick. Sunday morning. I got a feeling it sounded like you were just Italian stuff, okay, yeah, that's right. Bentley officially here. I think we were going to later tonight. Just trying to find a way to use my money. I got to spend too much money on $50 very limited.
You too, dude. My sister had met us up here and said that she didn't have tickets, and they went to serve her beer, and they had their little baby with them. I know. Anyways, but she was like, it's our anniversary. I was like, are you guys even here right now? No, just please leave. She was like, hold on. Hey, what's this? Like, yeah. Oh, you're like, oh, shit, okay.
But Lexi, that's what it is. So, are you there? She was in the house for a new part from the morning. But Lexi,
She took your class. That checks out. Some classes she honored the person. She's just like that. She just took a job this week with doing their like new media. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm gonna go see if I can.
all right.
The kids were like, why does it use it black or why does it come here? And I was like, well, you know you want black.
All right, good evening. Hello, everyone. If I could have everyone who's kind of standing, I know some of you are still, grabbing food and beer at the bar, so no worries, but if I could just have everyone kind of take a seat, we're going to get started. My name is Eileen Street, and I am co-host of Nerd Nite Louisville. I co-hosted with Bentley McBennelson, obviously the man of 4 hours tonight that we are going to be doing this event in honor of. Bentley is the one who brought me on board as a co-host, and I've been co-hosting this event with him since January of 2022. I believe collectively he co-hosted here for like 5 years, I believe. I believe that'll be a trivia question tonight, in fact. So maybe keep that answer in your head right now. So how many, I know a lot of you are here obviously to honor Bentley. I just want to see a raise of hands. How many of you have been to a Nerd Nite before or heard of Nerd Nite? Oh wow, okay, so a good amount. How many of you have been to Nerd Nite Louisville? Raise your hand. How many of you have been to a Nerd Nite but in another state or city? Okay, what cities have you guys been to Nerd Nites in?
New York.
New York City. Did you know the founder of Nerd Nite as a whole is back there? That's Matt. Raise your hand, Matt. He is one of our speakers. So that's Matt. He flew in today from Los Angeles. He founded Nerd Nite, and Nerd Nite is now in over 100 cities around the world, and including here in Louisville. So that's how Bentley learned about Nerd Nite, was when he lived in New York City, and he used to attend Nerd Nite out in New York City, and then eventually when he moved here to Louisville, he became the host of it here. So that's a little bit of background. We say that Nerd Nite is like TEDx or like watching National Geographic or Discovery Channel, but with beer. We host it once a month. It's on the last Thursday of every month here in Louisville. Usually it starts at 7 p.m. We're starting it a little bit earlier, just, so we have some more time. Usually we don't do trivia. We will be doing a trivia tonight. All the questions will be related to Bentley. So we'll start the trivia game after our first speaker. We'll have our first round of questions, and we'll be doing trivia questions and answers in between the speakers, okay? And so we have 3 speakers tonight talking about 3 different topics. We have Amelia, who is going to be our first speaker. She's going to be talking about better beer culture. We also have Blair. She's going to be talking about a study related to women who were given access to abortion and those who weren't. And the study followed thousands of women over 10 years to see kind of the outcomes of that. And then the third speaker is the founder of Nerd Nite as a whole, Matt, and he will be talking about how to easily break Guinness World Records. So We're going to have 3 different speakers. All of them knew Bentley in some way. All of them are talking about topics that relate to Bentley or his passions in some way as well. And then in between, we'll be having the trivia related to Bentley, and the first, second, third teams will win some prizes. And then, as I understand it, Bentley, he hosted trivia in 2 places in the city, and one of them was at Shippingport Brewing Company. As I understand, whoever got last place, they got something from his attic. So to honor that, last place team will also get something from basically my attic storage. Something, you're basically gonna get something I don't want. So that is exactly, it's gonna be a surprise. So that's the flow of the night. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's jump right into it. So our first speaker is Amelia Pillow, and she is brewmaster and owner of Shippingport Brewing Company, which opened in June of 2021. And she's going to be talking about better beer culture. So let's give it a hand for Amelia.
Alright everyone, thank you for coming out, and welcome to my Nerd Night talk. I don't really want to do this that much, I suppose I can do that. Well, now it's here, so now we're doing this. Alright, as Eileen said, I am the founder and brewmaster of Shippingport Brewing Company. We opened up in June of 2021, and I'm here to talk about better beer culture. Approaching culture from 2 different standpoints. The first standpoint is my favorite one, and that is yeast. I love yeast culture. Yeast culture is super interesting and diverse and complex, and so many things can happen with yeast cultures, and I'm going to talk about brewing. And I assume that if you're here drinking a pint, you probably know something about beer, but maybe you'll learn something about beer tonight. I'm gonna try to focus on yeast culture because it's the thing that's alive, and to be honest, it's my favorite part about beer. The other part of beer culture that I'm gonna discuss is the part where we all assume that people who drink, make, own breweries are a bearded white guy. That one's a good friend. His name is Richard. He's great. However, the concept that beer culture is just for white bearded dudes and craft beer is only that ever is something that I think should change. And we can take a page out of basically the yeast culture handbook, because yeast cultures are hugely diverse and do a lot of really cool things. And depending on how you treat them and the environments, it's just a myriad of wonderful stuff, and it's one of my favorite things about brewing. So, better beer culture, how do we approach it from a yeast standpoint? We're going to talk about that. But first, don't know a lot about beer. We're going to talk about how beer is made. What is beer? And beer is always one of 4 things, and then we add a bunch of stuff. That's adjuncts. That's the last thing. But the first 4 things that beer always is water. Water obviously is the base, but it's also kind of like a chemical canvas. Depending on the alkalinity or pH, it will lend different things to the malt and the hops and the yeast, but it's always the base. Malt is the second aspect of beer. Malt is, of course, the most important thing. It's yeast food, it's fermentable sugars. Then, depending on what kind of malts, how they're processed, you'll get color, you'll get flavor, you'll get aroma. So, base malt is very simple. It's just dried. It's just there to feed the yeast. Kilned malt has flavors and colors ranging from mildly toasty biscuity to a little bit of honey to a little bit of caramel to toffee to figs to downright toffee and really, really good flavor. Roasted malt is basically treated the same way as coffee. So that's where you get coffee flavor and chocolate and maybe a little bit of acrid flavor. Depending on how much you use in the beer, upon that base layer of fermentable sugar, you'll get different colors. So see a lot of people drinking the Pilsner, that is just base malt. Maybe a little bit of something toasty, maybe a little something biscuity, but for the most part, you can tell by it, got a lot of kiln malt at all. Not a lot of roast malt. Some of you look like you might be drinking a stout, maybe a Bock beer. That's going to have some of those kiln malts, and then some of those roasted malts. But malt is definitely the sugar that we feed to yeast. Hops add flavor and aroma, but also bitterness. Bitterness balances out any kind of residual sugar, and then hops, flavor and aroma, it's the tropical, it's the citrusy, it's the maybe a little bit earthy, maybe a little bit floral, sometimes even a little chimey. All of those flavors come from hops. And then finally, my favorite part, yeast, because once you have the yeast, before that you had basically malt syrup. Now we have alcohol. Yeast are the living thing that we put in that basic media to create beer. We're going to talk about all the different kinds of yeast, but first we're going to talk about the process. Probably you can tell the last slide, someone helped me with making it look pretty. This one's mine. I make pretty good beer, but as far as audio-visual presentations, it's kind of not my forte. So, sorry about the graphic, but it should show you to some degree the first two things that we put together to start the process are water and malt. Those two things go in what's called a mash tun to create a mixture called the mash. And that basically is using water to get all of the sugar out of the malt. Once we mix the mash, we start drawing that sugar-rich liquid off into the kettle that's called wort. Pre-fermented beer is called wort. W-O-R-T, not A, thank God. And as we're doing that, we also put just straight water in to rinse the grain further. So it's basically like pushing all the sugar-rich stuff out, so we're going to extract as much sugar as possible. Once we fill the kettle, we boil it. Because while we do love the yeast that we know is going to produce the flavors that we like, we certainly don't want anything wild in there to produce flavors that we can't control. So boiling it, it's a nice sterile canvas. That's also when we add the hops. The hops obviously are going to contribute bitterness. The longer you boil one, you extract that bitterness, but you also lose flavor and aroma, so you have to make many additions over the course of the boil to contribute bitterness, but lesser and lesser the closer you get to the end of the boil, and more flavor and aroma. Nowadays, a lot of people don't even put hops in until the very end because all they want is that flavor and aroma. And then they add more hops to the fermenter. Any kind of hazy IPA you've ever had probably had a very little bit amount of hops in the boil because the bitterness is not what they're looking for. They're just looking for that flavor and aroma, and that gets added to the fermenter. But for me, the interesting thing that happens in the fermenter is fermentation with yeast. Oh, I love yeast. There are three main kinds of yeast that are used in fermentation and brewing. And then a fourth kind, along with bacteria cultures, that is less used but also super interesting. But we're going to talk about the first three most because they're the most used. Lager yeast, literally lager means to store. Lager yeast does produce flavor compounds, but the main thing that lager yeast is known for is fermenting at cold temperatures. At cold temperatures, everybody who's alive moves a little slower. So these fermentations can last typically a month, maybe longer, and they're very slowly consuming their food. So they're not producing a lot of flavor compounds while they're doing that. And that gives you something like sprockets, where it's very crisp, very clean, not a lot for you to taste from the yeast. There's a little, but not a lot. The temperatures are between 38 and 55 degrees. The higher you go, the more you're going to taste what they are putting off as they eat. The lower the fermentation temp, the less they're going to produce flavor compounds that you're going to taste. English and American ale yeast are very, very close. Basically, our yeast that we use in this country are pretty much like the children of the yeast that they used in England. And I just remembered that I have to sign up. English and American ale yeast are pretty subdued. They're going to eat through their food much quicker at that higher temperature. They're going to produce more flavor compounds, but they're pretty mellow. It's like basically red apple, maybe a little bit of berries. The warmer you ferment them, the more you're going to get those flavors. And they're going to finish their food usually in about 2 weeks flat. You're going to have finished beer. which is, to be honest, why a lot of craft breweries in this country don't produce a lot of lagers. It's because it's twice as long that you're waiting to have beer. So that's why a lot of people make those ales. It's faster. You get a turnaround on that initial investment so much faster. Belgian ale is where we get really, really wacky. These guys, super heat tolerant. Just like lager yeast is super cold tolerant, produces very little flavor the colder you get. Belgian yeast is super heat tolerant and produces really big flavors the warmer it gets. These flavors range from like plum, cherry, to banana, to bubble gum, and then they also produce, in addition to esters, which are those fruity flavors, they produce phenols, which are like a pepper or a clove. They get really intense the warmer they get. And then there's some even like European strains. They're not Belgian, but they're very heat tolerant. They can ferment up to 100 degrees. And at that point, you get like weirdly just very big candy orange flavor, but super, super heat tolerant. And again, the more that you let yeast kind of get warm in their environment, the bigger the flavor comes out. For me, the joke has always been that being a brewer is basically being a yeast farmer and a janitor, because all you're ever doing is creating food for something to create something for you, and then cleaning up after it and doing it over again and over again. But that's also the really interesting part of it, is that you're working with a living thing, and depending on what you feed it and the environment you give it, you get really interesting things that come out of it. So that's yeast culture in brewing. That's one part of beer culture. The other part of beer culture, oh crap, I forgot about this slide. These are a bunch of different kinds of beer. Fermented with a bunch of different kinds of yeast. There's a bunch of diversity. All right, moving forward. Human beer culture, sadly doesn't have the kind of expansive myriad that yeast culture does. And I feel like that's the thing that's really lacking in my industry. When I started out in this industry, I was one of 2 female brewers in Portland, Oregon in 2007, with 30 breweries within 5 miles of city limits. I can safely say that that's changed hugely. We are in Louisville, Kentucky, obviously not the same kind of perceived progressive city as Portland, Oregon. However, I know within this city 8 other female brewers, and that's a huge leap. However, while some of us are queer, all of us are white, and there's a lot of room for changing the concept of what beer culture is. It has been, since I got into the industry and well before, mainly white dudes with beards. The number of times that I went to tastings and everybody looked at me, even though I was from the brewery, in pants, covered in stuff, in the boots, because I purposefully went to tastings dressed like that. They'd be like, so you work in sales and marketing? And I'm like, what? I would be fired if I showed up like this. Like, could you not just take it seriously? So women in the industry are really making headway, but it isn't changing very drastically, and there is a big commitment that needs to be made so that like the actual beer culture that is people can be as great as the beer culture that is yeast that we use in this industry, because that's kind of what makes it amazing. Like, the more live things interact with beer, the richer the whole thing gets. And that's what we've been working towards at Against the Grain. Beer's fun. It's for everyone. And that's the way it should be. In that vein, the way that I know Bentley is because Bentley heard that I was starting at my own brewery, and he was at Long John Silver's at the time, and immediately was like, we should collaborate on a beer. And immediately I was like, I don't know. And then the more enthusiasm he threw at it, he was like, you know, Lent is our biggest sales season. We could do like a Bach beer. The more I was like, but actually, okay, let's do this thing. So last year in May, April, we released Swashbuckler, which was the name that he put out there. He was like, this is just a working name, and I was like, no, that name is amazing. Because we're shipping port, it's Long John Silver, Swashbuckler, it's Bach beer, loved everything about it. So we made this beer together, and Bentley was huge. Bentley lives in the Portland neighborhood where our brewery is located. Obviously, it's a little self-serving for him to support a women-owned brewery that's also a place where he can go drink that's like really close to his house. But more importantly, he very much did believe in supporting, creating space for people who are changing the way beer looks, 100%. He was integral to us opening shipping port. I'm gonna get choked up now, so sorry everybody, but whatever. He pretty much made a lot of what we did better. He supported me as a woman of business, but also my friend, hugely. To be perfectly frank, this presentation is the kind of thing that I would only done it for because I'm real bad at it. Luckily, one of his friends looked over it for me and fixed it because it was real bad before, guys. But that's the way that we actually make beer culture better, is by supporting people who are already here and making their presence known, and also trying to pave way for other people so that the industry becomes the richer and more complex environment, so that we can actually have something really strong and wonderful. Bentley supported me hugely in that, and I very much couldn't have done it without him. In that vein, he basically asked me to do this talk a month ago, so obviously things have changed since then, mainly because he helped me build a We Thunder site, which is a campaign that we launched to help fundraise to open up, basically expand our brewing operations. So this is the link for that. Bentley supported us hugely, and to be quite frank, it's been really hard to continue to do this campaign without him. However, I know that he would be insanely angry with me if I didn't make it successful. So if you like what we do, if you want to check that out, that's great. More importantly, we re-released Swashbuckler, rebranded as Ollie's #1 fan. It's from tap room now. If you knew him at all, you knew that Ollie's Bargain Outlet literally survived on Bentley going there to find coveralls and God knows what else. So Ollie's #1 fan is on tap now. $1 of every pint will go to Bentley's family to help make sure that everything goes as well as it possibly can in the aftermath of him not being around anymore. But I know that anybody who met him, you know that you had a friend, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the presentation. And also, in light of him not being around anymore, we all just have to be a little bit better to each other, because dang, he was great. So that's it. I'm about to go cry outside. Thank you guys. I hope you learned something about beer. I didn't realize there was Q&A, so.
All right. I offered to start trivia, which said no, let's go ahead and just do the Q&A. So we're gonna do Q&A. Thank you for that presentation. Thanks also for, telling us a little bit more about Bentley. I know some of the things that you mentioned we knew, but some of kind of the backstory with him and Shippingport Brewing Company, some of us may have not known, so thank you. With that being said, we do a Q&A where we open it up for questions, so you guys just raise your hand. I'll repeat your question up here, and then Amelia will answer it, okay? Yes? What got you into brewing in the first place?
I had a degree in painting and literature and had gotten into home brewing, and funny enough, the culture of craft beer appealed to me more than the culture of a bunch of people who just wanted to talk about whether or not I knew a bunch of people and like had a master's in the thing, and I had done an internship at Sotheby's, and I was like, these people are gonna take me out for drinks and find out who I really am. I cannot do this. And I also was really bad at sitting at a desk. Like, it hits 2 p.m. If I'm not moving my body, I am asleep. And I wanted to make art, and beer feels like art that's actually accessible to people. Like, it is actually something that can be creative and beautiful, but only it costs $10 to be able to interact with. So from an art standpoint, from a being able to move my body so I didn't get fired for falling asleep on my desk standpoint. And while the white dudes with beards culture wasn't ideal, the pretentious people who like were gonna judge me for what I was wearing and not going to the latest gallery opening, I was like, I'm gonna choose that. So that's how I got into beer.
All right, what other questions do we have for Amelia? Any more? Yes.
What do you think would be able to get people more involved, like people of color and women more in the business? Like, what do you think would be able to draw them in?
What do you think would be able to draw in more women, people of color into the business of beer culture?
I feel like representation, the thing that's always stuck with me is if you can't see it, you can't be it. So being very conscious of what I hear over and over again, like women and queer folks are already getting more representation in the industry. People of color are still something that's lagging behind. And people are like, well, we just don't know how. And it's like, well, the main thing is like, if you can hire, that's great. But if that still doesn't feel accessible because people still just aren't like as engaged with what you're doing, engaging with other Black business owners and featuring their products and the things that you do, and just engaging with the community wherever you can, so that people know that you do actually care. Because a lot of what I see going on is lip service, like you do put pride flags out during June, but the reality is none of your staff is gay. You can care about like Black History Month, but you're not actually supporting like any people of color with your business practices. And those are the kinds of things that people see and they know that you're being authentic and not just saying words out loud. Words out loud, just lip service. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, there we go.
All right, other questions? Yes.
I like
Right
to
here, Vaughn.
follow that up and say, so can you tell everybody some of the stuff that you've done to like show action rather than just have lip service? What are some of the stuff that you've done?
Can you say some of the business practices you have to show action rather than just the lip service?
Obviously, I try to support Black business owners. We are the only brewery tap room located in the West End, and as such, I definitely want to engage with West End clientele, which is a majority Black neighborhood. Not neighborhood, it's a whole bunch of neighborhoods. But long and the short, not the kind of folks that have been traditionally into craft beer, and also it's like in a place where we are a little bit isolated from the rest of the craft beer community. I'm getting so off topic. The most important thing is engaging with people who maybe they own businesses that have products that you can engage with. So Vaughn, of course, is our supplier for eggs. He is a urban farmer and a Black-owned business, and we also serve coffee. That is West Lou Coffee, and that is also a Black-owned business. We also have engaged with the Bikes Crew. I'm failing right now because I didn't anticipate this. But the long and the short is wherever we meet people who are like-minded, who are basically doing something really interesting, that are standing for the same kinds of things, we try to partner with them as much as possible, because that's how you actually walk the walk and don't just talk the talk. Similarly, we do a lot of drag and burlesque late on Sunday evenings. That's our like after hours. And getting a whole group of, to be perfectly honest, the queer scene is not super into craft beer. And hosting those kinds of performances let people know that we 100% are with them and overall, that's the kind of way you can. Just saying like we would love folks to come in, we would love folks to work for us, but we can't do that. You actually have to engage with people who are already doing the work and then advertise that and collaborate on it.
I think we have time for one more question. Matt, I appreciate your question, but you're the founder of Nerd Nite.
Beer that you make, and maybe the favorite beer that someone else makes.
What's the favorite beer that you make, and what's the that Shippingport Brewing Company makes, and then a favorite beer that some other craft beer company makes?
That's always hard. As somebody who's been making beer professionally for 13 plus years, I've made a lot of beer I really liked, and typically the beer that we released most recently is always my favorite because I've already tasted everything else for a long time and kind of got sick of it. So to be quite honest right now, the favorite beer that we make is Ollie's #1 fan. If you've never had a Hellespont before, it's a strong, light lager. And then to pair with Long John Silver's fish, we added lemon peel. The first round was swashbuckler. We added malt vinegar. We left that out this time. I know, Jess, I'm sorry. But it's super delicious, super refreshing, and just like fresh beer is the best beer. And to be perfectly frank, you guys, I'm not trying to diss like canned beer that you can get in grocery stores, but I don't buy that beers anymore. If I can get it on tap, I'm not gonna buy it. So don't visit like where it is at the source because fresh beer is always my favorite beer. And that Ollie's #1 fan is amazing. We're at Great Lake right now, and I'm gonna say Sprockets is one of the most amazing lagers you can find. Like this beer wins gold at national and international beer competitions regularly. It's a really good beer. So since I'm at Great Lake, I gotta show love to Sprockets because goddamn, that's a good beer.
Amelia, thank you so much. Before you go really quick, tell us about this beer that's going to come out. You're doing a collaboration. I think this is super cool when I saw this on Shippingport Brewing Company's Facebook page. Just tell us what this is.
So my second favorite, well, tied for second with general yeast fermentation and like wild fermentation is the tie for this. Foraging for ingredients is my second favorite thing to do in brewing. So that whole like 4 main things, like this falls in the adjunct category real hard. But going to parks or going to like, you know, anybody's like mom's woods like mine and finding things in the natural world and collecting those to add to beer is super interesting. So we did a collaboration with Gallant Fox earlier this week where we went out to their Mount Washington location and went to Mount Washington parks and collected very invasive honeysuckle. We collected spruce tips, also very invasive grapevine. I'm not sure if you guys know this, you can actually make tea with it. If you cut grapevine, the sap is what makes the grapes taste good. And literally you can boil that and get that sap out and it tastes like grape soda. It's amazing. And then what else I didn't know this plant when we drove past a grove, and I said, let's stop, I want to see what that is. And I just rubbed the leaves and it smelled like lemongrass, sandbar willow. And willow is 100% edible. It's actually where we get aspirin. We use those little willow leaves, and this beer is fermenting right now, going to be on tap in a couple weeks at both locations, both Shippingport and Gallant Fox. And foraging is super interesting. Actually, I'm also partnering with Vaughn to grow some stuff. It's not exactly foraging, but partnering with local farmers to grow ingredients for beer is also super cool. And just like that whole sense of, I don't know, looking outside of like what is like just the general and like creating little pockets of like new stuff is my favorite thing. Oh, sorry. The beer is called, there's a quote that says, a fox is a wolf with flowers, or a wolf that brings flowers. And so since they're Gallant Fox, the name of the beer is a wolf that brings flowers. Because it might rip your throat out, but it'll be crafty. Thank you. Everyone give it up for Amelia. Also, I was given this sign as a presenter, so I feel like all the presenters should, you know, I feel like it's only fair. I feel like I'm gonna leave it at least here. Oh, are you next?
She's next, yeah. Blair's next. There we go. Maybe we need to keep this going for every nerd night. All right, we're gonna take 5 minutes. Yes, give it up for Amelia again. I cannot wait to try that wolf with flowers beer. Who was with me on that one? I've been to breweries. I've never seen like full-on honeysuckles and bark and wood. I don't know. Anyways, all up in the brewing process. So we're going to take 5 minutes to get our trivia on. We're going to do some trivia in between the speakers. Before we do our next speaker, you can have as many people on your team as you want, but I'm going to just let you know the prizes are meant for a team of 6 people. So if you're going to have like 7 or 8 or 9, then I don't know, you guys need to fight over who gets the prizes if your team wins, okay? So it looks like kind of tables are probably going to team up together. I'm going to go around, I'm going to pass out, I have the sheets where you're going to write down the answers to the questions. We're going to do round 1. Every round only has 4 questions, okay? They all relate to Bentley. So somebody on your team, please dig in your purse or your back pocket or your satchel and please get a pen or pencil. I'm going to pass this out and we're going to start doing trivia. And then we will welcome up our next speaker, okay?
Travis, are you gonna be like, am I gonna see you like
Fucking events, fucking advances.
he definitely would have bothered you about going? Continually. Wait, you two went to Oaks? I think I might have gotten your ticket.
First round. Somebody on your team had a pen? Alright, you guys, here's question 1. So this round is just like random 4 questions, kind of general knowledge. Not general knowledge, just some random 4 questions about Bentley. Okay, so most of us in this room probably knew Bentley as Bentley McBennelson, but that actually wasn't his birth name. So write down what his birth name was, the first name. He legally changed his name to Bentley McBennelson as an adult. Well, they're gonna get harder, don't worry. So, first question, what was Bentley's birth name? What was Bentley's birth name?
I see.
No, you don't need the last name, just his first name. All right, second, and I'll go over these questions. Second question is, what state did Bentley grow up in? What state did Bentley grow up in?
Looking at the order
All right, third question. So Bentley had a tattoo on his calf of Colonel Sanders with 2 drumsticks. It also had a banner with 2 words written on it. What did those 2 words say? So Bentley had a tattoo on one of his calves, and it was of Colonel Sanders with 2 fried chicken drumsticks, and it also had a banner with 2 words written on it. What did the 2 words say? All right, fourth question. This one, you'll get a bonus point, so there's possibility for 2 answers here. So Bentley had 2 cats, but he also had another pet. What animal was the 3rd pet? And bonus point if you know the pet's name. So Bentley had 2 cats, but he also had a 3rd pet. What animal was that 3rd pet? And bonus points if you know the pet's name. All right, I'm going to go through the questions one more time.
But they got you on that one.
So most of us in this room knew Bentley as Bentley McBennelson. This is question number 1. Most of us knew him as Bentley McBennelson, but what was his birth name, his first name, birth name? What was his first name, his birth name? Second question, what was his first name, his birth name? Second question, what state did Bentley grow up in? Third question, Bentley had a tattoo on his calf of Colonel Sanders with 2 fried chicken drumsticks. It also had a banner with 2 words on it. What did it say? And fourth question, Bentley had 2 cats, but he also had another pet. What animal was the 3rd pet? And bonus points if you know the animal's name. So get those answers down. Make sure at the top corner, I think it says team name, write down your team name. I forgot about that. Write down your team name. Thank you. All right, take 5 minutes. So at 7:40 p.m., so 8 minutes actually, 7:40 p.m., our next speaker is going to be up here. So grab another drink, order some more food, write down those answers, and then our next speaker will speak at 7:40 p.m. Thanks.
This is great. I learned a lot about
What is all this stuff you got doing here?
Is this video? No video? No, you won't know. No, yes, video.
Fred has his gaff tape over here. 1, 2. Hello, Vaughn. Hello, Vaughn. Chickens. They got extra mic stands back there.
Huh?
They got another mic stand.
This one anyway. But you think better than
This is awesome. My car's up in the car, but I'll hit you. Don't forget this.
microphone you're going to use is this one. This one's just picking up audio because we're recording the presentation.
I gotcha.
And so if you can kind of, did you say you need her to kind of stay in this general area, or can she walk around?
I want to move a little bit. I kind of going to point to some things. Okay, I was like, and let me tell you, you can already tell. I talked about it. So, yeah. No, that's not my plan. That's not my plan. It's mainly because I feel like
So our next speaker is Blair Wooten. And if Blair ever comes back to speak at Nerd Night, I will introduce her as surgery rest. She also loves craft beer and her cat Salem. So she is going to be presenting on the Turnaway Study, a summary. So the Turnaway Study, a summary, will impart some of the most poignant conclusions from the decade-long Turnaway Study. The study aims to answer the question, does abortion harm women? By surveying nearly 1,000 women who were either granted or denied an abortion for an unwanted pregnancy or surprise pregnancy. The conclusions, she says, might surprise you. So without further ado, within just a few weeks, I'll just say Dr. Blair Wooten.
all right. Wait, I'm just going to take this off because I moved too much. Thank you, Arlene, for that introduction. I'm about to graduate from medical school. There's some future doctors over here, too. We've all been victimized by the medical system already, don't worry. So I'm going to be talking about this study, and warning, it's going to get dry. It's going to get monotonous. I think I'm a funny person. I'm going to try to carry it. I'm also going to be jingling. Thank you. And Amelia, thank you for your talk, because I went to beer school and Disney World when I was 4, and I don't remember everything. The Anheuser-Busch used to have stuff there. They don't anymore, I don't think. But anyway, without further ado, this study. So obviously I'm not a doctor yet, and none of this is meant to be taken as medical advice, even though there's really nothing in here that I'm advising you about. Me and my friend Mackenzie did a talk in November about birth control. That was a little bit more medical advice. Was not meant to be taken. Can't sue me. So this acknowledgement page, these are all the people who actually did the study. I just read the book. And obviously I want to thank Bentley. I was talking to him at Trivial Trivia at Shippingport maybe a month or two ago, and we were talking about the talk that I gave in November with Mackenzie about birth control. And I told him, I was like, you know, that was a great talk, and I'm glad that we got that information out there, but I really wanted to talk about abortion. But like, we're in a hostile state, and I didn't want to make, so everybody has an opinion about abortion. I don't care. Like, I'm not looking to debate anybody, walk up to people on the street with a microphone, not me. I'm not going to hide my stance. I am pro-abortion, I'm pro-choice, but I'm not arguing a point here. I'm just presenting findings from this study. So I slightly have an agenda, but not so bad that you need to fight me in the parking lot. So just a quick content warning. Obviously, I'm talking about abortion, so if that makes you uncomfortable, this might be a good time to step out. I'm also going to be talking, not in detail, but just touching on topics of abuse, sexual assault, maternal death, and some related topics. But if you find that disturbing or don't want to be in the room, that's totally fine. Now's your time to leave. Another thing I want to say is a note on language, and in the book, so the Turnaway study was published as a book in 2020, and Diane Foster makes a similar note in the book. Everybody that participated in the study, as far as they knew, was a cisgender woman. So in the book, they used the language women to refer to people in the study, because as far as they knew, that's how everybody in the study identified. However, I do want to recognize that people of all identities can get pregnant if they have a uterus and are of reproductive age. And I also don't want to necessarily tether womanhood to being pregnant, because there are many women, even cisgender women, who cannot get pregnant, and also cisgender women will come to a point in their lives where they can no longer get pregnant. So being pregnant and able to get pregnant is not necessarily synonymous with womanhood. I just wanted to, so I might use the word women a lot because that's what they use in the study, but I just wanted to make that disclaimer. All right, so this is the central question that the Turnaway study wanted to answer. I think we've all heard from people in various groups with various objectives that abortion can be really harmful to women. That's what they kind of touted, and that's what people have repeated many, many times. And so the study was like, let's just see if it's true. So that's the question that we are aiming to answer tonight. So just real quick, Eileen gave a great intro for this. Basically, this study focused on about 1,000 women that were recruited over a period of about 2 years, starting in 2007. The main people recruited for this study were near the gestational limit for their clinic, and that obviously depends on location. And the central focus of the study were women who were just under the limit and just over the limit. So some were denied an abortion and some were granted an abortion, and they followed them for 5 years each, so the study was almost a decade long. So what is gestational age? I just wanted to hit this real quick, because if you've never been pregnant, sometimes you might not know what this is. So what is gestational age? So this first red dot or pink dot is the first day of your menstrual period. This example assumes that everybody's period works like clockwork and shows up at the same time every month, 30 days apart. You know what I mean? Obviously not reality. So May 1st is the start of our period. Conception is the blue dot. That usually happens about 2 weeks after your period, but it can vary. And the little missing dot right here is your missed pregnancy because you're pregnant. What I want to talk about is the way that we measure pregnancy in medical terms is by the first day of your last menstrual period. So that's about 2 weeks before you're actually pregnant, right? So at your missed, like first day of your missed period right here, you're 4 weeks pregnant. Even though you've actually only been pregnant for 2 weeks, we refer to it as 4 weeks. Something that can also happen around this time is something we call implantation bleeding, when basically the embryo of the pregnancy implants yourself into the uterine wall. It can cause spotting or bleeding. So, and that happens usually in this time frame. And so a lot of people can think that they did have a period or had a light period around the time that their period was supposed to come. So if they think that they had just an abnormally light period and don't know until the next month when they don't have anything, then they're 8 weeks pregnant. This is a map. So now that we talked about gestational age, this is a map of abortion bans in the U.S. and gestational limits. So the kind of the darker, the more restrictive. So the really dark states basically have total bans. You know, depending on the day, you really got to keep up with the news. And the lighter is the less restrictive. So the lightest states have no cutoff. You know, 24 weeks, 20 weeks. Obviously, in this area, I grew up in Alabama, so I get it. It's either a total ban or de facto ban. So basically, when people talk about a 6-week abortion ban, they're talking about a 4-week pregnancy and 1 missed period that can be missed by the pregnant person because there can be spotting at the beginning of a pregnancy. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the participants of this study. 60% of the people that participated in this study that were seeking abortion for unwanted pregnancies were mothers. 60% of them already had children. A lot of people think that abortions are for people who don't want to have children ever, and that's really not the case. 50% of the people seeking abortions in this study were in poverty, as defined by the federal poverty line. And that really, I think, informs why people want to get abortions. A lot of people just simply say, I can't afford it, or I don't have the support, and I think that also speaks to the social safety net in this country, or lack thereof. And we'll see that this study kind of focuses on the gestational limits, which are in some states around 20 weeks, which is like 4 or 5 months pregnant. And you might wonder who was seeking these later abortions for these later gestational ages. They were much more likely to be in poverty and young. So 45% had had a prior abortion, and 1% of the people in the study reported that their pregnancy was a result of sexual violence. So this study was conducted in 21 states, but the participants came from over 40 states, so obviously many of them traveled. So I want to explicitly talk about the people who are not included in the study. This study is about unwanted pregnancies. This study is not about people who have to terminate desired pregnancies either for the health of the mother or a pregnant person, or because of a fatal fetal anomaly. Those people were excluded from the study and were not the focus here. So let's look at the ages. A lot of people think that, you know, people who get abortions are just irresponsible young people that don't know how to use contraception, and clearly that's not true. Only under 20% were teenagers, and there was a fifth were over 30. So that might dispel what you think about abortion, or people who seek abortion. And this is what I want to talk about. This is the gestational age of participants. So they were specifically looking for people that were right around that limit that came to these clinics, right? So about a third, 14 to 19 weeks, which is in your second trimester, but before what we call viability, or around viability at 20 weeks. And viability just means that your pregnancy could live outside of you. 20 weeks is still pretty early, but that's kind of around when we think about that. So almost half the people in the study were past 20 weeks, which, as we saw on the map earlier, you can hardly find access to that now. It was a little bit better in 2007 when they started the study. But I also wanted to point out that 90% of the people in the U.S. that seek abortion are in their first trimester. So this is the only part of the study that is not representative of the normal population. So people who get abortions in the U.S., 90% of them are in their first trimester, 1.3% are past 20 weeks. So, and that includes people who are having to terminate desired pregnancies. So this is really the only demographic that makes the study participants different than people who seek abortion in the U.S. overall. So they kind of broke this study up in the book kind of by, I guess, metrics in which they were measuring outcomes for the participants of the study. The main things they were focusing on were mental health, because there have been touted that abortion makes women depressed, gives them PTSD, et cetera, and they wanted to see if that was true. Same with physical health. I think we all know that pregnancy comes with risks, and they were wondering if abortion also came with those risks. And then socioeconomic status. How did carrying to a pregnancy carrying a pregnancy to term that was undesired, how did that affect them 5 years down the line versus getting an abortion when they wanted one? So I want to first say this. There's no negative mental health outcomes associated with those who were granted an abortion. I just want to say that right now because that was the main outcome of this part of the study. It dispels a lot of the myths that people maybe tout as part of their agenda, and there is absolutely no support for that in this study. Immediately after abortion denial, so here the orange were denied, the purple were granted, and they separate it by anxiety and depression symptoms. But you can see that, so this is like a week after they enrolled in the study, so a week after they were either granted or denied an abortion. Everybody's stressed out, right? It's a stressful situation, totally get that. But you can see that the orange, the people who were denied, have a much higher rate of negative mental health symptoms like anxiety, lower self-esteem, stress. I will say, as you can see, they kind of even out over time. They kind of group together after that. But immediately following either their denial or their abortion, it is clear that in the short term, the people with the negative health outcomes, like negative mental health outcomes, were people who were denied. So the people who did report negative emotional outcomes in the study at the time of their enrollment and later, they are also asked about, how does your community feel about abortion? How do you feel about abortion? Almost all of the people who said, I feel negatively about my abortion and it negatively affected my mental health, had very, very high rates of abortion stigma in their direct community around them. So take that as you will. And I do want to say this, the most common, they polled obviously people like 8 days after enrollment in the study, and for the people who were granted an abortion, they asked them, how are you feeling? And the most common emotion was relief. People were relieved to be rid of this undesired pregnancy that could cause problems down the line, as we'll see. So let's talk about physical health. So any surgery or any procedure comes with complications, right? Or a chance of complications. This is just a small table that they have in the book, and I think it really speaks volumes for what people say about abortion, whether it's medical or a surgical procedure. How many people have had their wisdom teeth out? Yeah, a lot of people. You took more of a risk doing that than people getting abortions, which it is not the maybe strongest narrative, but it's true. At least in the study, this is what it showed. And as you'll see, that childbirth, almost a third of the people who gave birth had complications. And just in case you need a little bit of clarification, complications are defined as basically anything deviating from a normal postoperative course, and that can include blood clots, chronic pain, infection, things like that. So the women who were denied were more likely to stay tethered to a physically abusive partner. This obviously results in poor physical health, and one of the participants that's her story is outlined in the book. She talks about how she went to a job interview with a black eye, and a lot of the people who were denied an abortion and wanted one because they were in a bad relationship and they didn't feel like they could sustain a child. But people who were denied an abortion and had to carry that pregnancy to term stay tethered to physically abusive people longer, simply because of the pregnancy and then the child, so that many of them can't leave because of economic reasons. One of the ladies talks about how she couldn't get a job because she was pregnant. She was 5 months pregnant. She was like, nobody will hire me because they know that you're going to be out soon, at least for a little bit. So a lot of them become very dependent economically on these partners, even though they are toxic and abusive. They don't really have a choice. Later on, they report more chronic pain, migraines, things like that, and they rate their overall health as worse, contrasting with people who were granted abortions. So maternal mortality, this has obviously been a hot topic recently. In Kentucky, it's abysmal, the rates. So every time somebody gives birth, they are risking their lives. We knew this to be true back in the old days. Obviously, people died of childbirth all the time. But what's sad is it still happens. Sadly, 2 people in the study did die from childbirth complications. And that was much, much higher than the national rate. It was 2 out of about 1,000. That was much higher than the national rate. So from that, and from national data, they extrapolated that, you are 14 times more likely to die from childbirth than you are to die from an abortion. And I think that just speaks to the safety of the procedure as well. Obviously, for minorities such as Black and Indigenous women, maternal mortality is much higher, especially in places here like Kentucky. So socioeconomic status. These say it in more exact numbers than I go into just because there's a lot of numbers in this study. I don't want to bore y'all with all of them. But after being denied abortion, people were much more likely to be unemployed, and they were much more likely to be under the poverty level. However, then these are self-reported graduation rates. Both groups had similar graduation rates, so when the participant got pregnant, both groups were equally as likely to graduate, which I thought was great. Those turned away who were denied abortion were more likely to be in poverty 6 months after entering the study, and that's once again defined by the federal poverty line, use government programs like WIC or food stamps, and more likely to raise children alone, which is in and of itself is an economic burden. Anybody with children knows how fucking expensive childcare is. I don't even have kids, and I know that shit's expensive. That's why I got the implant in my arm. They were also more likely to remain unemployed or underemployed, as I kind of touched on earlier. However, that evened out after 4 years. Basically, when their kids go to preschool, it evens out. And women who were turned away were more likely to have a lower credit score. They did this huge, more data that you could even think about, deep dive into credit scores, debt, all that stuff. And women who were denied abortion were more likely to have a lower credit score, a higher amount of debt, more debt, and more bad financial events such as defaulting, going bankrupt, being evicted, things like that. So this is one thing that they kind of tacked on in the book, and it was kind of like, so we see that the majority of our participants are mothers. So what happens to their existing children when at least half of the people are having to produce another child that is not desired, usually due to their situation? So children of women who are denied an abortion are more likely to live below the federal poverty line, which makes sense. Same thing using WIC or food stamps. And this is self-reported data, so these people are saying that their children live in households where the adults say that themselves that they don't have enough money for food, transportation, and housing. And children of women who were denied were less likely to reach age-appropriate developmental milestones by maternal survey, which means that they could be reaching them, but the mom is not around enough to witness that, or it could mean that they're just not reaching them appropriately. And women who were denied abortion reported having poor maternal bonds with their kids at a higher rate than the group who were granted an abortion and had desired pregnancies later. So if you hear one thing from this talk, this is what I want you to hear. They interviewed each participant 1 week after their either abortion or denial, and then every 6 months afterward. 95% of the participants who were granted an abortion at every single one of those check-ins, 1 week and then every 6 months for 5 years, said that it was the right choice for them. A lot of people talk about regret, and certainly there is some regret, but most women know what's right for them, and it remains the right choice for them. And so if you take one thing away, it's this, that women at the time and later know what's right for them. So this is a quote that I thought was really powerful from the book. We talk about regret, and obviously very few people regret their abortions, but women should have a right to, women or people who can get pregnant, should have a right to make decisions that they might regret one day, because they have human rights, they have bodily autonomy, and they should be allowed to make decisions. Just like I know some people regret buying a car, buying a house, getting married, things like that. We make big life decisions all the time that we come to regret, and people are allowed to make those decisions. People who can get pregnant should be able to make those decisions without intervention from the government. Big takeaway, there's no evidence from this extensive study that abortion harms women, either in the short term or the long term. If anything, it's the other way around. Here's my sources really quick, and then thanks. Thanks for letting me talk about this. I'm super excited to. This is my email for the next 3 weeks. It gets deleted as soon as I graduate. So if you email me and tell me that you want to burn my house down, that's fine. This only works for 3 weeks. And thank you for being here.
All right, thank you, Blair. We are going to do our Q&A now. So if any of you have any questions for Blair on her talk, please raise your hand and she'll be happy to answer them. Any questions? Yes.
How does this country prior to
Say the last part again.
Yeah, can you repeat that just a little bit louder?
how does the laws of abortion or the outlook of abortion in this country compare to the rest of the world?
How do the laws on abortion in the United States compare to the rest of the world?
So in some really conservative countries, like Central and South American countries, a lot of them have had what we would consider, even by our standards, draconian views on abortion, and have had like absolutely none. Like Chile recently changed their laws to basically say that abortion is allowed if the mother is going to die. Then that was an amendment to their previous law. So there are certainly countries, and even Northern Ireland, they had an issue with as well, a very heavily Catholic country, and they also have had some issues with their laws and people dying because of the laws that they have in place, and people really fought back against those. But in Europe and Scandinavia, it's pretty different. A lot of them have like very hard line, like very clear laws. Like I know in, I think it's either the Netherlands or Denmark, I think it's Netherlands, there's a 20-week limit. So that means a lot of the participants in this study could not get an abortion when they wanted one, but it is pretty clear. It's a federal law, so like, you know, they don't fuck around with all the state stuff. It's much more clear and in most European countries, much more lenient, but there are exceptions around the world, of course.
All right, other questions? Any other questions for Blair on her presentation? Yes, right over here. Can you talk about mortality rates in the United States compared to mortality rates in other countries internationally that have more lenient abortion laws?
So most other, like what we would call like developed or rich countries look at us like we're in the 1800s, compare like with our maternal mortality rates. And if you believe it, they've gotten worse in the last 20 years. And we are certainly an outlier if you want to talk, like whatever language you want to use, developed, white, rich, whatever you want to talk about. All of those countries look at us like we're in the desert with no medical help because that's how we're behaving. That's what our results show. The U.S. has an abysmal maternal mortality rate in general, and it's even worse for people of color, Black women, Indigenous women, and things like that. Which actually is super interesting. Indigenous women in the 60s, 70s, a lot of them were sterilized without their consent. So it goes to show in this country who they want to reproduce and who they don't, as far as sterilization and abortion. But yes, the U.S. much worse compared to, I guess, like comparable countries.
All right, any other questions? I think good. Yep, right over here.
Not a question, just wanted to piggyback and maybe a bit more about this debate. But I know that a lot of other countries have at least 3 months of required maternity leave and most places maternity leave, including a lot of Middle Eastern countries, so they kind of see us as like back in the, again, like you said, the Asian countries, we're back kind of the
Yeah.
we are required maternity leave, at least, and then specifically also that it's not paid.
So it's not really a question, but just more of a kind of information piggybacking off of the presentation that internationally other countries have required maternity leave, in some cases paternity leave as well, whereas in the United States it's really left up to companies. There's no federal law around this. If you wanted to elaborate, maybe you could even talk just briefly about, do you think we'll get a federal law soon for maternity or paternity leave?
No, I do not. I'm 26 years old, and I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime. And all my great-grandmothers lived to their 90s. This country is not set up to support families. If at one time it was, that has been brought down a lot. I mean, we saw in the results of the study that people who had to carry pregnancies to term, they suffered socioeconomically. And there are, some safety net programs in this country, but it is very difficult to get them and to maintain them. And a lot of people in this country, my age especially, are like, it's too expensive to have kids. Like I touched on the cost of childcare alone earlier. A lot of people are like, it's just not in my budget, especially with the way that, wages haven't gone up, accounting for inflation and things like that, and wage stagnation is a big part of that too, but, that's a whole different topic. A lot of people at this point are like, I just can't afford to have kids, even if they want them. And I think the country's resistance to support families and to kind of entice people to have children and families really speaks to the situation that we're in.
All right, if you have any other questions for Blair, you can ask individually. We got to move on with trivia, but Blair, thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it. And congratulations as well. Here, I'll take the nerd. I'll take it. All right, so I have the results. Before we get into our next speaker, we're going to have the results and do the next round of trivia. And then you guys will have a little break to grab some more food or, refill your glasses. And then the founder, the ultimate founder of Nerd Nite, all around, what's created, this world of over 100 cities, hosting Nerd Nite, including Louisville, of course. Matt, he is going to be our third and final speaker. So, thank you so much. Okay, I guess we should first get into the answers to the questions. So the first question was, what was the birth name of Bentley when he was born? So Bentley, he changed his name. So what was he born as? His name was Christopher Chris. And then what state did he grow up in? It's Connecticut. He had that tattoo on his calf that had Colonel Sanders with 2 fried chicken drumsticks and a little banner that said original recipe. And then his third pet is a pig, and the pig's name is Miller High Life Bentley, the champagne of pigs. So let me give you, we have 14 teams playing tonight, and let me give you the breakdown of what the place is. While I'm giving the breakdown, if you can have someone from your team just come up and look for your sheet and grab it, that would be awesome. All right, so we have, do you guys want to go by first place or last place starting? Okay, I heard first place first, so we'll start with first place. All right, in first place we have 4 teams. They got all the answers correctly, including the bonus point, for a total of 5 points. We have KFC Buddies with 5 points. Thick Rick with 5 points, and a series of Come Fortunate events with 5 points. And then in second place with 4 points, we have Urban Farmers, Miller High Life, Original Recipe, and Shipping Port Pearl. That's in second place with 4 points. In third place, we have 2 teams. That is Miller's Crew and Ad Coochie with 3 points. In fourth place, we have 2 teams that each have 2 points. That's Team Abortion and We Don't Talk About Bentley. We Don't Talk About Bentley. And then the last one is last place with 0 points. They didn't even get 1 point. But it's okay, maybe they can redeem themselves in the next round. That's Extra Pickle, aka Pickle McPickleson, who has 0 points. I feel like I should give him a point for that name. I like that name, Pickle McPickleson. And then you have SAE, 0 points. All right. So, get your pens out again. We're gonna do the next round of trivia. Hey, babe. Oh. Hey, John. Are you guys ready for the next round? All right, here is the second round. So these questions actually came from Bentley's mom, Elizabeth Bentley. She sent me some questions for the trivia. So all of these questions and answers are coming from his mom. All right, you guys ready for the first question? First question is, when Chris, she knows him as Chris, when Bentley would call his mom, what would he usually be doing? You could, put down what would he usually be doing when he'd call his mom. There's a few different answers she gave, so she gave 3 different answers as possibilities. So when Chris or Bentley would call his mom, what would he usually be doing? Second question is, so Chris was in a pretty horrific car accident, and he had a contusion, and when Bentley's mom asked him where he was after this contusion, where did he say he was? Where did he say he was? Third question is, when in rehab for the same accident, what did he want to show all of the visitors? While he was in rehab for that accident, what did he want to show every one of his visitors? So everyone who visited him while he was in rehab. And then the final question, this one is not going to have a bonus point, just so you know. It's just the final question. When Bentley lived in Brooklyn, he lived in New York City for some time, he lived in Brooklyn, what did he wash his hair and body with? So when Bentley lived in Brooklyn, what did he wash his hair and body with? All right, I'm going to go through these questions one more time in case you needed to think about one or forgot about what they were. A reminder, these are from Bentley's mom, Elizabeth McBentley. All right, when Chris or Bentley was, when he'd call his mom, what was he doing? What was he doing? And second question, Chris was in a car accident that was really bad. He had a contusion. When his mom asked him, do you know where you are? What did Bentley say? Where did he say he was? Third one is, while in rehab for the same accident, what did he want to show all of his visitors who visited him? And final question is, when he lived in Brooklyn, what did he wash his hair and body with? So, those are the questions for round 2. You can bring your answers up here. I'll come and collect them. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Actually, you know what? We're kind of like running ahead with the schedule. So why don't we take a 10-minute break? That way you guys can really take some time to chat, meet some new people, meet some, you know, some of Bentley's friends or family that you may have not met before. Grab some more beer, eat some food, and we'll see you back here at 8:30. All right. They're also going to make you work.
They're so powerful.
Have you been doing good? Were you able to get on the Nerd Night tab?
Oh yeah.
Good? All right, cool.
How are you holding up?
I'm good. How are you doing? Like I said, I'm good at compartmentalizing, so.
Yeah. Being a job.
are taking their seat, we're going to start in just a minute and introduce our next speaker. All right, are you all ready for our next speaker? All right, everyone, let's start wrapping up our combos. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker.
Here somewhere.
Do you want this? First of all, so actually, this is going to be
Yep.
your microphone.
Yep, got
That's
it.
just for audio.
Yeah, I figured that out after I moved in.
No worries. All right, everyone. So our next speaker is Matt Wazowski. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Wazowski?
Great. Yes.
All right. So he's our final speaker, and Matt is going to be talking about weird and potentially breakable world records set since September 2021. The description is, while none of you can become the world's tallest person or grow the longest fingernails in the next few weeks, you can learn about 10 world records that have been set relatively recently, a few of which you could potentially be able to break yourselves, and one of which, or maybe even two, will be able to possibly break together tonight at Nerd Night Louisville. Quick, get the Guinness.
You could be a
on
world
your
record
phone.
holder.
We could. So Matt is the big boss of Nerd Night. So any host of a Nerd Night is called a boss, but he has the title of Big Boss because he is also the one who founded Nerd Night, and he's also the host of Nerd Night New York City, even though he also just moved to Los Angeles. So I don't really know how that works, but I guess that's like his own, secret talent, hidden talent that he has. Objectively, that doesn't make much sense. He's also the unofficial world record holder in tortilla throwing. Seriously, unofficial though. So I just want to say before Matt starts his presentation, I really want to thank him. He flew in from Los Angeles today. He knew Bentley well because Bentley was, he was a member of Nerd Night in New York City. He also gave some presentations there as well. In fact, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I do have a round of trivia that relates to Bentley and Nerd Night in New York City. And so I just, when I heard the news and I started making some posts on social media about Bentley's unexpected passing, Matt reached out to me via LinkedIn, the Nerd Night Louisville page, my Instagram, Facebook, and he just like right away reached out and he wanted to see, what had happened, talk about Bentley Connect, but also kind of what he can do to support during this really difficult time. And I just said, well, we're hosting, you know, our Nerd Night Louisville event like we always do every last Thursday of the month, but I have this idea that we want to do it to honor Bentley because I know that Bentley he loved Nerd Night so much, like so much. He was always, you know, he's the one who made the shirt that I'm wearing. I have stickers at home that he made. Bentley was always trying to make Nerd Night bigger. Like one thing I love that we're doing tonight is we've been live streaming the event. It's going to be recorded. We're going to take that, we're recording it as well, so that way anyone who couldn't watch the live stream tonight, they can watch it later. And Bentley always wanted to have Nerd Night recorded, and he'd say, hey Eileen, you know, I really, you know, because I do some video production as well, I really want to, you know, record it. And I would always kind of be like, yeah, you know, because I'm like, yeah, we don't get paid for Nerd Night, I don't know how much I want to do this. But I was like, we absolutely have to have tonight recorded because Bentley would be stoked about that, and he'd be so stoked to know that the founder of Nerd Night is here in Louisville to give our final presentation of the night. So without further ado, Matt.
That's a lot to live up to. Okay, so you know in all the movies where someone comes up at the end of the movie and they make a speech and like 2 paragraphs into it they crumple it up and be like, all right, here's what I've really got to say. So I feel like that's actually kind of what's happening right now. So I got this presentation prepared. You will all have a chance to break a couple world records in like 14 minutes from now, but I need to kind of crumple up the paper and, you know, say what I really want to say for a second. So first of all, Nerd Night, we are, technically, this is a for-profit operation. We have a EID number registered with the U.S. Copyright and Trademark Office, and we make tens of dollars a year. All of you, how much did you all pay to come to Nerd Night tonight? Nothing! Most Nerd Nights around the world are, I lovingly call communist Nerd Nights. Most of them are free. We do this out of the goodness of our hearts. A few places charge. My beloved New York, Nerd Night New York and Nerd Night Los Angeles charge a whopping $12 to $16. It's highway robbery, but we think it adds value. So the reason I bring this part up first is that, you know, Bentley, the reason that we have 100 people gathered here on a Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock when you should all be still, you know, cleaning yourselves up after work before you go out for your big night out, is that Bentley was obviously one of the most just genuinely effusive, enthusiastic people that any of you have ever met, and just had this weird gravitas and orbit and whatever that sort of ethereal quality, oh, that sounds like I fucking live in Los Angeles now, ethereal quality that just like has this goodness that you just want to be around. And that's always been, for the people who run Nerd Night around, different Nerd Nights around the world, you know, it's pun intended, it's not rocket science to, you know, organize an event where people talk about silly things while people get drunk at a bar. It's not that hard, but what really makes or breaks a Nerd Night anywhere is it's just the enthusiasm, the passion, and the joy that the person has, and then can really infect that and instill that upon everyone in attendance. And that's what Bentley was. He was the enthusiastic one. He was the joyful one. He was the one who was just so happy to have all of you here. He was nerdy and dorky in the loveliest ways, and he wanted to just make you all feel that and enjoy that and fucking love that. And that's why you're all here now. So we haven't toasted yet. I feel like I'm the last person here to do that, but I don't care. I've got the microphone, so fuck everyone else. Can we get a toast to Bentley, please? To Bentley. Yeah. So the other thing I want to say is that, which also makes me weird about being here. So. This is Chris. This is the co-founder, really the original founder. I'm sort of the it's like a weird hairy legs there. I don't have, like my legs are not hairy at all. It's weird. So So that's Chris. He's the founder of Nerd Nite. It started in Boston in February of 2003. Turned 20 years old last month. We're going to be able to drink legally next February. We're very excited for that. So this was us in California 5 days ago, celebrating my birthday. And the thing about Nerd Nite is that this was started out of, for those of you who don't know, it basically started almost as a joke. It started at a bar in Boston where he was giving, so he would go to Cameroon for 4 months every year during his PhD program for about 5 years, and he would study small birds, and he would catch them and do whatever evolutionary biologists do. He did those to those birds, and he would come back to a bar every year, every January, and his friends and his family and his colleagues and his fellow students would all catch up with him and be like, hey, like when any of you go on a trip to Cincinnati or Asheville or wherever people in Louisville go on vacation for even like 48 hours, you come back and you tell people how your trip was. So they knew to find Chris at a bar, and he would be there and he would tell them about the birds and tell them about the birds and tell them about Africa. And at one point the bartenders were just like, hey Chris, we're really, really sick of overhearing you tell these stupid stories about these goddamn birds. Can you just get this over in one fell swoop? And he was just like, well, you had this dance party last night called Nite Night. I could talk tonight, and we could call it Nerd Night and talk about birds. And that's how Nerd Night started, because the bartender was almost like dared him to just talk about science at a bar, and it was a terrible idea. And here we are in Louisville, 20 years later. And so that's, hey, thank you, happy accidents. I don't know, we wanted to entertain ourselves. But what's super, super weird and lovely about tonight is that this was, like, in a way, most of the way, like, Nerd Night sort of started as a joke. It was just something that, like, a dozen people did to sort of entertain themselves and make each other laugh in really stupid, weird ways and have a lot of beers because we're all in our early 20s and drink a lot. And so it's interesting and surprising and delightful and super melancholy and sad that we're here tonight, that this has gone in wonderful, delightful directions, never intended, and I never expected when Nerd Night started that I would be in Louisville 20 years later. I'm sorry, I don't say Louisville correctly. I'm from Cleveland, so I can't say Louisville. But it's weird. So it's weird to be here 20 years later, celebrating and honoring and sort of eulogizing someone who is an integral part of this. Well, the fun part starts now. I just want to say life takes weird turns. This is a delightful turn. So second toast. I'm sorry, but one more toast. All right, here we go. Yay! Yay! Thank you. Sorry, that was. I'm never gonna get a microphone again. All right, so here we go, the fun stuff. This is also not about yeast. This is not about abortion. Here's a twist. All right, so I hosted New York, Nerd Night New York for 17 years. We always took the summer off. Every September I would come back and I would do a presentation about world records that we'd set in the previous 12 months, because the world is weird. The world's full of really weird people who do dumb things. So let's learn about some dumb things that have happened. All right, so world's longest car. If any of you do not have a car with a helicopter at the end, you should all be, shame on all of you, because you only need a heliport on your limousine. So if you ever see this driving around, of course it's going to be from New Jersey. So thank you, Michael Manning, for bringing us a 100-foot-long limousine. All right, number two, social media is a thing. How many of you are big BTS fans? Right. I guess we'll see what the strokes here at Gravely. All right, so 60 million followers. Nerd Night New York just started Instagram about 3 months ago, because I hear the internet's going to be big someday. I think Nerd Night Instagram has 91 followers, so we're only 60,151,868 followers behind BTS. We'll get there at some point. All right. Have any of you done the polar plunge? Polar plunge? Where did you do it? Where did you do it? Do you do it in the Ohio River? The Ohio River on January 1st has got to be like 49 degrees. Ah, babies, they're all babies. Go to Coney Island where it's 45 degrees. So that 4 degrees makes all the difference. This gentleman, obviously Eastern European, full contact with body rice. You know, that'll emasculate you really fast. 3 hours and 28 minutes. How long were you in the Ohio River? Seconds? All right, well that's technically seconds. That's like 42,000 seconds, so that counts. You know, the Ohio River, Lithuania, it's all the same. All right, this is a family show. Longest underwater walk. All right, what do we got for predictions? Longest underwater walk in one breath. How far? Anyone?
1 mile?
1 mile. What else we got? 5 miles. One breath. What do you got?
500 feet.
500 feet. All right, let's see. It could be any. Could be 1 mile. Could be 5 miles. Could be 500 feet. Oh God. No. Oh, put something over that. Yeah, 351 feet. 500 feet. You know, not bad. I was actually going to put this in a second. I feel this could be achievable. So if you go down to University of Louisville, see where Lamar Jackson ran around, it's 360 feet from end zone to from the end of the end zone to the end of the end zone. So if you can do your best Lamar Jackson, you're in good shape. Longest fish. That is not a snake. That is a fish. That's gross. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Do you say it was terrible because I thought a fish was gross? I'm sorry. Right, the head is terrible. Stupid Packers. Not a steak. 32 pounds. Maryland, Berlin, Maryland, Eastern Shore. Yeah, that's Eastern Shore. Not great. It's a place. Sorry to anyone from the Eastern Shore of Maryland. It's large freshwater fish. That's fish. That would terrify me. I'm squeamish. 661 pounds. It's a big fish. I think the largest fish I've ever caught was 4.5 pounds in central Pennsylvania, so I'm not a real fisherman. How many of you are growing tomatoes now? Growing tomatoes this summer? Growing tomatoes this summer? Oh, you got to work on your gardens. You've got a nice temperate climate. How many of you think that you are close to having a competitive tomato producing plant? No? Come on, no, that attitude. All right, so we need 1,200 tomatoes. Right, so are you close? 1,100, 1,000, 900, 800. It's going to be a bumper crop of tomatoes 2023, I promise. All right, finally, so last one that's not achievable. If you ever want to make a robot, you should obviously make a robot in stuffed penguin form. Those are the cuddliest, they're the most adorable. If you ever want to make a penguin do something, you should make them jump rope, because that's what all penguin robots really want to do in 1 minute. Obviously 170 jumps in a minute. Let's see really quickly, because I'm a curmudgeon, a Luddite, too old for the internet, I don't know how to rip videos from the internet, so the video you're about to see is something that I filmed off of a YouTube video on my laptop through my phone. So I apologize in advance for the quality of this, but welcome to my terrible world. So welcome to a phone video taken off of a laptop. Oh, there we go. Penguin jumping! Penguin robot jumping! Look at it go! It's adorable! Oh my God! Now I turned my phone sideways and right. That's exactly the correct answer. I'm both ashamed and proud at the same time. It's hard really compartmentalize. It's great. All right, so here we go. This is the important part. As Eileen mentioned during my bio, I say this proudly. I am the world's unofficial record holder of tortilla throwing. I actually, at that time, we connected this one here. So 2 years ago, at the first time I gave a version of this presentation in New York, at that time, set in July of 2021, was the world record set for a standard 12-inch tortilla, not the 6-inch tortilla. Has to be technically thrown as a frisbee, not as a baseball. So really just fling it like that. Set in July 2021. The world record was 60 feet something, like 60 and a half feet. If any of you know baseball at all, distance from a pitcher's mound to home plate is 61 feet 6 inches. And I was like, well, I pitched in high school and one day in college. I can throw a tortilla further than that. Like, that seems preposterous. So myself and the manager at the bar, before we did the presentation, and I bought about 200 tortillas, and we're going to do this on the street later on. So just to make sure that we weren't going totally crazy and hallucinating, and think of our hubris of tortilla throwers that we had. Went outside and we're like, all right, let's just chuck a couple of tortillas to see what we're really working with here. So again, the record was 60 and a half feet. First throw, I did 104 feet. Right? Almost double the record. First throw, I had never thrown a tortilla before in my life. Next the bar manager went, he went 108 feet. I went again, I went 112 feet. He went again, went 115 feet. So in 4 attempts, we fucking obliterated the tortilla throwing world record. We did not have anyone from Guinness on hand, therefore you cannot technically be an official Guinness Book of World Record unless you have someone from Guinness there to acknowledge it. So we ended up throwing it that night. We ended up getting over 125 feet, so thank you very much. You are in the presence of greatness right now when it comes to tortilla throwing. So if you want to be in the presence of greatness amongst yourselves when you're in the bathroom taking a shower near yourself, you can do these couple of things here, and we're going to do 2 of them in like 60 seconds. So number 1, this is something I think all of you can do. If any of you do this in the next week, let us know. So number 1, tell us 3D printed sculpture of a human. That's very specific, which is part of the good thing about world records is that they're getting really, really specific now. So it's 19 feet 10 inches. If you have a 3D printer, put in a lot of stuff, print out something that's 19 feet 11 inches of a human, and you will be a world record. So, right? How hard can that be? So, anyone going to do that? Who has access to a 3D printer? All right, so get world record. Here we go. All right, so longest in-person slime tutorial. If any of you have access to small children, what are you laughing at? If you want to hold a very large in-person slime tutorial, you just need 492 students. If any of you teach, any of you work at a school, any of you live in a van with lots of candy in your overcoat, I think you can do that. Okay, so people at the live stream, you might want to check out your camera here. Oh God! Wait, hold on. It's happening. We have our first audience participation of the evening. You're all very excited. Catch that. All right, I need all of you in the crowd to, I need everyone to, it's coming. Oh, I went over there. I need everyone to inflate and then tie a balloon here. You have to do it at sort of fullness, not like maximum fullness, but just what seems reasonable, and then just, tie it into a knot. And hold on to it. All of them, yeah. Pass them around. If you don't have a balloon, get a balloon. Yeah, reasonably like a 3/4 inflation, please. No, it's great. Yeah, perfect. It is now. Hold them, throw them in this direction. Make real loud, high squealing noises. Great. All right, oh yeah, look at, you're doing a yeoman's work. All right, yeah, bring it on. If you got a balloon, bring it up here. Bring your balloons this direction, please. We're gonna need to make a balloon corral. Yeah, just, static electricity is getting you. Great. We also should test how your lung capacity is before and after drinking. That's great. All right, looks like we have a quorum of balloons. All right, everyone. Whether or not you understand, Bentley's brother is here from New York. Bentley's brother, come up here. Have you ever attempted to break a world record before? No. Whether, would you like to? And the answer is yes. Yes. Right. All right. So I need four people. I need 4 volunteers. I need 4 helpers. All right. Just walk on up. No, Dave, you're just going to be touching balloons. Not butts. Only Bentley's brother. We need balloon handlers. Come on. Just come. Yeah, Lauren. All right, great. All right. So there is a very specific technique in how to. Actually, let's do a little more. So, what do you think the record is for bursting 30 balloons in a second with your butt?
In 30 seconds?
Yep, in 30 seconds. All right, so the record is 50. All right, I will disclaim this and announce this in a couple of ways. So number one, so we've tried this in New York and in Los Angeles. The average has been 11, but one person did get 37. So that was pretty good. So we found out, it's mostly, all right, so actually here, so it's mostly in the thighs. You've got to get a good lift. And here, the most important part is, and this is what actually, come over here, Lauren, come over here. All right, so what we need, so this is critical. So yeah, right. So we found is that the best technique, and let's do this, let's slowly. So is we need the alternating. So you are going to feed into there. He will then squish with his magnificent buttocks, and then you go, and then you go, and then you go. And so you both sort of need to feed the chair balloon placer.
So she's feeding me.
Yeah, so she's feeding you, you're feeding him, and you are
one at a time.
One at a time. Yeah, it's got to be. Can't do 3 at once. That's a lot of squatting. But feel those thighs. These buns of steel. It's a long way. Yeah, gotta do it again. All right. So who's got a timer? Who's got a clock? I got my timer's all the way over there. Who's got it? Anyone got it? All right, you got it. We're gonna go on your time. Give us like a 5-second countdown.
He's out. All right, I'm gonna count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Go, sit. Hold on. Oh, you might want to hold it a little. All right, 1, 2, 3. You got it. 4. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, still 8. Still 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Time out. All right. All right, I think we got the hang of it. Hey, need a breath. It's good. It's fine. You're ready to do it again? You got stamina?
I think so.
All right.
Hold the chair with our feet.
Oh yeah, that's a good. All right, I'll hold this down. Yeah, the chair is moving. Yeah, got some variables happening here. All right, are we ready? Okay, this is it. I think 30 is a good number. We'll see what we can do here. All right, on your count. Wait. Uh-oh. I guess it's going.
She with the Guinness Book.
We need one of the Well, there needs to be more than just two. Give me balloons, because he's going up and down. You're supposed to alternating.
Or can we do two at a time?
You can do two at one time.
No, that is illegal. That is not. That is one at a time. It's very strict rules.
What if I put one in the front? I'm just saying, Bentley would love
Maybe.
to.
Let's try. Okay, let's try.
Are you two married?
I'm just saying. Bentley would let us do this.
Bentley would want this, so it's Bentley. This is for you.
Bentley would want this.
The big ones broke easier.
Let it go this way. Let me talk to his wife.
I think she. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Here.
She said yes.
All right, I don't have an attorney for this, so here we go. Oh, Jesus Christ. Nerd Night forever. All right, countdown for 5.
And then
Yeah.
3,
Good.
2, 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Everyone, we are just 56% of the way to a world record.
Can we do it one more time?
How many? Do we have enough balloons?
Blow up more balloons.
Do we have any balloons? We've got like 25 here. Do we have more? Is that? No, we can't do them. You just want to put your balloon. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, so that was magical. All right, our last group effort of the night. If any of you had even infinite time, let's just say like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and you had to stack plain original brown wrapper M&Ms on top of each other, what do you think the world record would be? It's only 6. Here's the thing. 6. So when I first saw this, I'm like, 6? That seems preposterously easy. I can stack 6 sheets of paper on top of each other. I can stack 6 chairs on top of each other. So, got a bag of M&Ms. I have found after doing this several times, so far we've seen, I don't know why I said we. I have seen no more than 3 stacked at once. And the 3 were all based off of people stacking 2 and then bring together the bottom M&M, which seemed to be the optimal stacking M&M in various people's stacks, and then combining forces. So everyone go ahead, we're gonna just hand M&Ms out to everyone. If anyone does get even 2 on top of each other, raise your hand, and then we'll see if we can combine your bottom M&Ms, see what happens here. So we'll just do that until we do, while we're waiting for trivia. So Eileen, coming up, we'll do this in the meantime. This sort of takes a while. So everyone, so thank you for coming. Thank you for watching people sit on balloons with their butts. And yeah, more Bentley trivia. Woo!
up just because he did a bike ride that came up last year.
How did it come up? What's he got?
7.
No, by who? Oh,
It's a weird kid in Iran, so there you go. And you have to do it within 2 minutes of opening the package.
That's it. So that was actually that's a new twist that I had.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, because this came up because I was somehow this came up. I was bike riding across Missouri, staying with a family with these kids, and musically talking to them. And that somehow came up, and then it got Googled next day, and they said, "Oh no, you were wrong. Your record is 7." And I was like, "Oh my god, I was wrong on this. This is a confusing situation that will never come up again." And here I am, just 1 year later. 1 year later, and
That is what your night is.
the information has indeed come up again.
Really, your life is not complete.
My life is not complete until I this obscure record. We'll never get records again, surely.
Wow.
Why remember it?
And then here you are.
Here I am.
Like 8 months later.
8 months later, exactly.
Wow. That's a happy story. That is like,
There is a your night for you. So
yeah.
I kind of wonder whether you're allowed to do this in the Death Valley or Pretty Fox.
I mean, that was not listed as a.
Like the criteria is not, it has to be indoors or packed with kids.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but that specificity was
stack of melted
that was not specified, so I feel that is only 30 degrees. It's going to get this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Melt's going to melt your hand. Wow.
All right, where y'all are building your M&M Towers of Power, can you please send one team member to come up and get your score sheet
Ask if
please,
anyone's
for
got
trivia?
2 yet. Ask if anyone's got 2.
Oh, does anybody have 2 M&M stacked yet? Okay.
All right, so I'm going to ask 2. Where's a good flex? Come up to the front table here with your bottom M&M. And we're going to see if the bottom M&Ms can get to 3 or 4. So come to the middle table here with your bottom M&Ms, all of you 2 stackers. Get together, make friends.
All right, just a friendly reminder, as you build your M&M Towers of Power, please have a member of your trivia team come up to the bourbon barrel and grab your trivia sheet. We're still going to do a few more rounds of trivia after this.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Appreciate it.
Killing it.
No, you're killing it, dude.
Killing it. Can be great.
And the second one was, I think, one that he only told Beth.
Perfect.
Cause like,
And she got it wrong?
Tom's like, oh, no, I mean, well, Beth's not here.
Oh, got it. Got it.
So
The
I
question
like,
was
she was just like reading the question. She's like, blah, 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 blah. And this is what, I'm sorry, red light.
Yeah. This was.
That checks out. But,
I don't know. I just, growing up with that, to be honest, an alcoholic father. I'm really good at just like,
That's great.
it's
Like, that's just there. Oh, right. That's going to go over there. Right. Yeah, that's life skills. We're along here.
Just finished trivia over there, came here. Do you want me to take over for the last round for you to read the questions, or are you good?
If you want to, let's co-host the rest of it. Sure.
Whatever you want. I'm here.
Let's do it. Sean, right?
Yeah, Sean
So
Matthews.
this is Matt.
Matt?
Hi, Sean. Nice to meet you.
I said he was the founder of Nerd Night, but actually you're not the founder. He's big boss in Nerd Night. He flew in from LA to be here. And he's just did you see his presentation?
I sure did. Yeah.
It was good, right? Yeah, it was awesome.
I got 2 M&Ms.
You're a third of the way to a world record.
That's right. Now, I didn't use one because I didn't think it was regulation, but one of my M&Ms was split in half.
Oh, that's good
Which means I had a flat
That's good
surface.
sportsmanship.
Yeah, I didn't use it though.
I feel like that's the spirit of the law.
Yeah, it was good though.
Should I make it dining table?
I don't know. They're trying it.
Oh, I feel like free so hard.
What's up? You gotta run? Okay, yeah. No, you did awesome. Thank you.
You do it. Yeah.
What color was it?
all to take your seats. Or, I don't know, keep standing up. I don't care, as long as you can answer questions from trivia. Team Extra Pickle, aka Pickle McPickleson, Team Urban Farmers, and Team Add Coochie. I need someone from your team to come get your score sheets up here. I'm gonna go over the scores from the last round, and then y'all will answer 4 more questions. These questions coming from Martin Sugar, one of Bentley McBennelson's best friends, sitting right over there. Raise your hand, Martin Sugar. Yeah, Martin flying all the way from New York City to be here this week to partake in all the Bentley McBennelson events. So the next round of questions are going to come from him. But I still need Extra Pickle, aka Pickle McPickleson, and Add Coochie to come up and get your score sheets, or else you will not be able to participate in the next round. Oh, did they? I liked that team name. All right, here are the answers to the last round, and then I will let you know where you stand. So, and really quick, we're going to do one more round of the trivia and the bonus question, and then we are going to announce the winners, and then we're going to have an open mic. So anybody who wants to come up, anybody at all, if you want to tell a funny story with Bentley, any condolences, whatever you want to say regarding, being here and honoring Bentley, we're going to open it up to all you guys, okay? So, the second round of trivia was from Bentley's mom, Elizabeth McBentley, and Elizabeth Bentley, sorry. So she said when what was Chris always doing when he called his mom? So she gave 3 different options. So if you wrote down one of the 3, I gave you a point. So she said he was either riding his bike, walking in New York City with all the city noises, or driving while saying, "I missed my turn." The second question was, Chris Bentley was in a car accident and had a contusion. She asked him, do you know where you are? His answer was, in Egypt with the pyramids. Okay. While in rehab for the same accident, what did Bentley want to show every one of his visitors? It was his catheter. So if you did write down penis or dick, which I did get that response from more than one team, I actually gave you a point because, he had a crazy accident, and his brother would have to explain that one. All right. So, when Bentley lived in Brooklyn, what did he wash his hair and body with? So she said, dish detergent, think Dawn. Dish detergent. So, Palmolive. Okay, so, well, I wish you didn't yell it out. That was going to be on the next round. But it's okay. It's okay. I'll switch. I have many questions for Bentley. So it was specifically Palmolive, but these were sent by his mom, and so her answer was dish detergent. So if you just said dish detergent or you had a brand that was dish detergent, I gave you a point. I'm being kind of liberal with the points, all right? Because we do have some people who did not know Bentley when he lived in Brooklyn. So I'm trying to be nice. All right. Let's see where we're at in terms of standing. All right, in first place with 8 points, we have BEPs with 8 points. We have Miller High Life with 8 points. In second place with 7 points, we have Thick Rick. In third place, we have, with 6 points, a series of Come Fortunate events and KFC Buddies. And in fourth place, with 5 points, we have Urban Farmers, Original Recipes, Shipping Port Pearl, and Add Coochie. And in 5th place with 2 points, we have Team Abortion, Extra Pickle, aka Pickle McPickleson, and in last place with 0 points, SAE. All right, you guys ready for the third and final round, which is going to include a bonus question. That bonus question is going to be worth, so every answer for the 1 to 4 questions for round 3 is going to be worth 1 point, but the 5th question, the 5th question is the bonus question. It's going to be worth up to 10 points. So basically your team's going to wager, okay? I'm not going to deduct points. What I'm just going to do is you can either go for it and put 10 points, or you could put, you know what, forget it. I'm going to deduct the points. So you put 0 to 10. If you do 10 and you get 10 points, awesome. If you do 10 and you don't get it right, then I'm going to deduct 10 points. So it's up to you. You can do 0 to 10 points, bonus question, 0 to 10 points. Put your wager. They will be deducted or added depending if your answer is right or wrong. All right, so these next round of questions come from Martin Sugar. Martin Sugar, Bentley's roommate in Brooklyn, best friend. I'm actually moving to New York likely in August. He had a lot of best friends, he did. But he talked about you a lot. I think the first time I met Bentley, I heard about you. Martin Sugar. Anyways, I'm likely moving to New York in August, and one of the last conversation I had with Bentley was on Friday, March 31st on the phone, and I've been accepted to grad school. I actually just got the news tonight. So I got the news that I got accepted to grad school. I knew that. So I was talking to Bentley on March 31st. He's like, yo, dude, are you moving to New York next month? Like, do I need to replace, find another co-host? I'm like, no, I'm moving in August. And, but it was dependent on this scholarship. And I've never lived in New York City. Bentley's lived in New York City. Bentley, I also work in kind of film production, news/documentary, and we're kind of in that realm. I've also been freelancing since September. And he quit his job, has been freelancing, so we'd often kind of swap ideas and stuff. So anyways, I called him the morning after our last nerd night, so on Friday, March 31st, and he said, hey, am I gonna have to replace you? And I said, no, I'm not. Well, you will, but not till August. I'm still trying to decide, and I asked him his advice. I said, what do you think? Do you think I should move to New York City? Do you think I should go to grad school? Do you think it would be worth it, Because I'm thinking about doing the documentary program, and so we had that conversation. And anyways, he said, if you move to New York, you have to meet my friend Martin Sugar. And I've heard about this guy so many times, so it's great to finally meet you in person, Martin Sugar. And it's just kind of crazy, I don't know what your beliefs are, but sometimes things happen in the universe where I'm like, this is too much of a coincidence. And literally minutes before I was about to leave to come to Nerd Night tonight, my whole decision of deciding if I want to go to grad school has kind of been pegged on this scholarship that I applied for that would give me full tuition plus some living expenses in New York City. And I got, I'm going to cry, I got the call, but I got it. And I think Bentley has something to do with it. So, all right, round 3. Questions by Martin Sugar. All right, so well, it was going to be that what common household product did Bentley use, but we all know it's okay. We all know it's palm olive now. Palm olive dish soap. What long-running animated show did Bentley have a virtual encyclopedic knowledge of? What long-running show did Bentley have a virtual encyclopedic knowledge of? That's the first question. Second question is, where did Bentley purchase his many pairs of glasses? Before he got LASIK surgery, Bentley wore glasses, and where did he always purchase his glasses from? going to be a fun one. So, well, so actually this isn't a question Martin Sugar put in, but I'm going to, no, never mind. Delete what I just said. Next question by Martin Sugar, third one. What was the name of Bentley's senior thesis film at SVA? He went to film school in New York City, SVA. And what was the name of Bentley's senior thesis? Fourth question, he went to film school at SVA. What does SVA stand for? What does SVA stand for? He went to film school in New York City, SVA. What does that stand for? So those are the 4 questions. I'm going to now say the bonus question, and then I'm going to go through all 4 questions from round 3 plus the bonus question to make sure you got it. And then I will collect your answers, and we will start the open mic. And then myself and one of Bentley's friends, Sean, we will score the answers, and after the open mic, we will announce the winners. The prizes for first prize, the group's gonna get a $50 gift certificate that they can use on their tab tonight. Second place is gonna get $25 gift certificate. Third place is gonna get $10 gift certificate to take off their tab. And then last place is actually gonna get a prize from my attic. What's up? Yeah, I'm going to repeat them right now. All right, so here is round, yeah, let me repeat round 3, then we'll do bonus question. How about that? All right, round 3. What long-running animated show did Bentley have a virtual encyclopedic knowledge of? So that's question number 1. What long-running animated show did Bentley have a virtual encyclopedic knowledge of? Question number 2, where did Bentley purchase his many pairs of glasses before he got LASIK, when he wore glasses? Where did Bentley purchase his many pairs of glasses? Also, what was the name of Bentley's senior thesis film at SVA? What was the name of Bentley's senior thesis film at SVA? And the 4th question is, what does SVA stand for? It's a film school that Bentley went to in New York City. What does it stand for? All right, so those are the 4 questions. I'm going to do the bonus question right now, and I will repeat the bonus question as well, okay? All right, y'all ready for the bonus question? Bonus. So, bonus question is worth 0 to 10 points. Right next to your answer, how many points you want it to be worth. If you get it right, those points will be added. If you get it wrong, those points will be deducted from your total. So, if you don't know the answer, you might want to put 0. If you're very confident in your answer, you might want to put 10. If you're not sure, take a risk, put 10, or go the middle road, put 5, whatever you want. So, bonus question is, for those of you who live in Louisville, or even if you don't, there's this big festival that celebrates like goat racing and beer called Bachfest. So that's the second to last time that I saw Bentley. And he was with Shipping Port Brewing Company, and I was selling tamales there. So the next day we texted, because he told me he was going to bring me a beer, and then I never saw him again. So I texted him the next day saying, hey, where's my beer? And in the text message, we were talking about ideas of where I could also sell tamales besides Bachfest. So, ideas of where to sell tamales. I suggested a place, and Bentley's response was, that's my happy place. So I suggested a place I should sell tamales at, and Bentley responded, that is my happy place. What is Bentley's happy place that he was referring to in that text message, do you think? That's my happy place. That's the bonus question. The tamales. We'll talk after. All right, so just a repeat of the bonus question. Bentley and I were talking about ideas of where I should sell my, these tamales that I sold at Bachfest. And I suggested a place, and his response back was, "That is my happy place." Yeah. You can ask a question. I'm not sure if I'll give an answer. Oh, the question is, was this a serious recommendation or a funny recommendation? I would say it was more of a funny recommendation. I would not really probably sell them at this place. But, so there's a hint for everybody. It was a funny recommendation. I would most likely not sell them at this place. Not really on my list of place I want to sell tamales at. But his response was, "That is my happy place." It's not that I couldn't possibly sell tamales there. It's just kind of a lot of hoops. So there's another hint. So, all right. So I'm going to come around and collect. Now we're going to open it up to open mic. So if anybody wants to come up here and say anything, a story with Bentley, your condolences, anything, we have open mic now until we've got about about 15 minutes for open mic, 15 minutes.
right. Is this thing on? Okay. It's open mic, so I just wanted someone to say something, so it has to be me. Everyone's already tired of hearing me talk. That's my normal day-to-day life experience. But I just wanted to say I didn't know Bentley for all that long, but like I said, he was so encouraging for me to do something to present on something I'm actually passionate about, and honestly, just so much fucking fun. Like I was talking about earlier, I was like, damn, I wish Bentley was here because he's just so much fun to hang out with. And I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for the life he lived and that we got to cross paths, and that I'm grateful for everyone being here and really showing out for him. And so, thank you.
Hey, thank you for kicking it off. Hey, you did the hard part. Thank you. I'm Steve Kelly. From around here, worked at KFC. I met Bentley when I had just started at KFC and didn't know what to do, and so I'm making dumb Twitter contests, and Bentley kept entering and winning, and he made the best content, and I thought it was so amazing, and how does he have the time to do it, and he looks sharp in a suit to boot, and I sent him a message and told him, I love your content, thanks for entering, here's some gift cards, and thought it would be over, and he and he said, I was wrong, I was so wrong. Because he told me I'm actually a KFC historian and a huge fan, which those don't exist. And he said, no, I've got this picture I've got the tattoo of the Colonel on my leg, and he sent me the article that had already been written by, was it the New York Times? So he's been in the New York Times. Yeah, that's right. He was a published photographer in the Times. He had that on his LinkedIn at one point. And so it was obvious to me that this guy was an amazing personality, amazing fan, and we'll come to Louisville, and I'll show you around. And we went to the test kitchen and made chicken, and so he could see that process, and he was having a great time. We went out to dinner we went to Sergio's World Beers, if anybody knows Sergio's. And Sergio kept us up all night looking at vacation photos of his vacation to Spain. And we all wanted to say goodbye to Sergio, but Bentley wouldn't do it. And Bentley just kept egging him on and asking more questions and getting more beers. And by the end of the night, Sergio, if you know him, if he has a good time, he just waves off your tab because you gave him that love. And that's what Bentley did. He just gave us all so much love. And I think I even told Bridget that night, my wife, I met this guy, and I don't know what to tell you, but I need him in my life. And I gotta hire him, and we did, and I think a lot of us feel inadequate when you see this room, and this room is only filled with the people that could scramble to get the tickets fast enough, and there's a whole weekend of people that want to share in it, but he was a legend in this town, and will be a legend in this town. He's not even from here. He just happened to be here because he entered a stupid Twitter contest. And wherever he ended up, he would have done this same thing. And we're all saddened, but the keep it posy, how many times he told me to keep it posy. And when I knew he was hurting, and I could tell he was hurting, he would just come on, big guy. And he would give every little last ounce of positive energy he had left just to make me feel whole. And so it's a constant reminder to me and with my kids to pass that on. You have to manufacture positivity. You have to give it in order to create it. And nobody was better than our boy Bentley. Amen. And just appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Hey there, everyone. I'm Sean Matthew Leary. I'm a recent new Louisville resident, but I just wanted to share the story of how I met Bentley. And so I had moved to New York City in 2011, and I got a package delivered. It was a board game, and my next door neighbor happened to see the board game get delivered, and it was an obscure German strategy game, and she saw it and she goes, "That's my favorite board game." And I was like, "What are the odds?" And she goes, "Can I come play that? Do you do board game nights?" And I was like, "Yeah, every Wednesday." She was like, "That's incredible. Can I invite my boyfriend?" Cue Bentley. And Bentley bikes from Brooklyn to the Upper East Side in Manhattan, and yeah, terrible ride. And he apparently had asked Aaron a couple things about me, and one thing that Aaron knew about me was that my favorite dessert was pie. So Bentley was like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bake that man a pie." And so he went and probably went to some sort of discount bodega in Brooklyn, and he got whatever fruit he could get and other ingredients, and he baked a mixed berry pie. What berries? I don't know. They're all mixed up. It's fine. And he baked a mixed berry pie from scratch, and he tightly wrapped that in tinfoil, threw it in his backpack, and he cycled from Brooklyn to the Upper East of Manhattan with a hot pie in his backpack. Yeah, it's a long time. And he then walks 4 flights up to my apartment with this pie in his backpack, and he knocks on the door, and I open it, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Bentley. I made you a pie." And I was like, "We are best friends now." And he took it out of his backpack, and it was still very perfectly warm. The crust did not get soggy on the ride. Everything was marvelous. We sliced into it. It was the best pie I'd ever had. And every single week after that, Bentley came for board game night, no matter how obscure or random or weird, and I just quickly became attached to him. So I was like, "You're stuck with me forever, man." And so, yeah, that's how I met Bentley.
All right, hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here tonight. Bentley was, oh yeah. All right, hi everyone. It's so great to be here tonight. I know how much Bentley loved Louisville, and as everyone who knows him knows, he just made friends everywhere he went, and he really just loved people, and he loved not only people, but he loved when the people that he knew got to know other people that he knew. And that's a lot of what's in this room, and that's a lot of what's everywhere that he went. And it's so special because Bentley and I were roommates in Brooklyn in 2006, and even though we were only roommates for a short amount of time, we stayed very close, and I then had 3 other roommates in my life who were all there because of Bentley, one of whom is Catherine, who married his brother. And they're both here tonight. And it's just, it's such a beautiful testament to just his ability to bring people together. And there are so many stories, and you know, I don't want to pick one, but I'll just mention really quickly the Palmolive thing because it came up in trivia, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, Eileen, I didn't mean to mess up the answer, but when Bentley and I lived together in Brooklyn, I didn't know this about him at the time, but he would use Palmolive dish detergent in the shower. And it was the darndest thing, and I had no idea. But all that I would do is I would go into the bathroom in the morning, and I would see that there's Palmolive, and then I would take it out of the bathroom, put it back in the kitchen. And then this process would repeat itself a few times. And then I think one day he probably saw me in the hallway. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What am I doing? This is for dishes." He says, "No. And you know, everyone that knows him knew that like he was just so sure of himself, and you know, it would be the dumbest thing, but he was just convinced that it was 100% right. And then he would proceed to explain to me why Palmolive was so much the right decision. And he would say, "Martin, first of all, I'm a greasy guy. And what is tough on grease? Palmolive." And then he would also you know, he was a frugal guy. Like he liked to bargain, and he would get a big tub of palm olive, and it would last him over a year, because the way he described it, like just a little bit, you know, would work up a nice lather, and then, you know, and so it was just such a funny thing, but, you know, and we just.
Like grease, but soft on hands.
And so we were always a bit of an odd couple, and like we kind of enjoyed bickering a little bit, and I didn't want to let it go. Like I should have just let it go, but I didn't want to let it go. So I told him, I said, Bentley, you know what? I appreciate your view on this, but let's talk to Palmolive. So I look at the bottle, and there's a number on the back for questions or comments. Call this number. So I call the number. And I explained to them, you know, why I'm calling, and, you know, completely, you know, straight-faced. I say, you know, I live in New York. My roommate apparently showers with your product. And I just want to know, as a concerned roommate, is this okay? And they gave, like, the most PC, like, vanilla answer. They nailed it. They said, we find that our customers have many uses of our product. and then they sent me a letter, and I think the letter is with Bentley, and they started sending coupons in the mail. And so it was just like, it was always this thing that we talked about. But the last thing I want to leave you with, and it kind of brings it full circle, is I flew in this afternoon, and I'm staying at a hotel in Nulu that's kind of like a suite, so there's like a little kitchenette. And for whatever reason, there's a full-size dishwasher in the kitchenette, and like I don't know who would need to do that many dishes in this hotel room. But anyway, I'm like fumbling around in the drawers, and I see the cutlery, and then sure enough, there's a little bottle of dishwashing liquid, and it's green, and I couldn't see the label. I have to lift it up, and sure enough, it was Palmolive. So, I don't know if that's creepy, spooky, funny, or all of the above, but it was a sign. Like, I've never been in a hotel room that had a dishwasher, let alone a thing of Palmolive, until today. And then here we are tonight. So thank you everyone for being here. And like I said, there are so many stories I'm happy to share. I'll be in town for a few days, but it's really, really great to see all of you. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Gravely is super generous. They're supposed to close at 10, but they're keeping it open a little bit longer. We're at 10:04. So if you have more words to say about Bentley, if you wanted to be part of the video, I could record you when we're done outside of Gravely with my nice iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I will edit it into the video. But we kind of, unfortunately have to end this awesome evening honoring Bentley for sure. So without further ado, we're gonna reveal the results of this trivia that we've been playing all night. And the results are, I need to give the answers to the questions. All right, so first question was about all the knowledge that Bentley knew, like encyclopedic knowledge of this show, and it is The Simpsons. Where did he buy his glasses before he got LASIK? It was ibuydirect.com. What was the name of his thesis at SVA? It was Your Demon and You. I'm really curious what that thesis was about. Well, I guess it was about Your Demon and You. SVA, what did that stand for? School of Visual Arts. And then the other question, the bonus question, was I was talking to Bentley about ideas of where I could sell my tamales, and I suggested Kentucky Kingdom. It was supposed to be funny because there's a lot of hoops to try to be a vendor in Kentucky Kingdom, and he said that's his happy place. He was a season pass holder every single summer at Kentucky Kingdom, and he had like the special beer glass where he'd get discounts on drinks. And yeah, I became a season pass holder because Bentley invited me in summer of 2021 to go to Kentucky Kingdom with him, and I went, and then we're standing in line for my ticket. This is my first time, my second time at Kentucky Kingdom, but my first time as like someone to go because I worked in news, so I'd been there for a story before, but that didn't really count. So anyways, we're standing in line, and then this girl comes up to us and says, hey, I have a season pass. I won it in a raffle. I'll sell you my season pass for $30. And I was so worried she was like trying to scam me. So I made her stand there until I got my season pass, because she gave me some picture with a barcode on it, and I don't know. And Bentley was like talking to her to make her, not think I was a super weirdo. Anyways, so he loved Kentucky Kingdom. That was his happy place. So here are the results. We'll go from bottom to top, okay? So last place, and you get something from my attic. You get the gold trophy for coming in last place is SAE with -9 points. SAE, where are you guys? Come up here, claim your prize.
Thank you.
All right. Team Abortion, second to last with -8 points. In 8th place, Urban Farmers, -5 points. Sorry guys, that bonus question really wiped a lot of you guys out. 7th place, Original Recipe, -3. 6th place, Miller High Life, -1. 5th place, Shipping Pearl, 2 points. 4th place, BEPs with 7 points. 3rd place, which gets a prize, you guys get a $10 gift certificate. Take your table up and get $10 off your bill collectively, is KFC Buddies with 8 points. All right, $25 off your bill tonight, collectively. Not $25 a person, collectively. 2nd place, Thick Rick with 9 points, which makes a series of Come Fortunate events with 17 points. What team? Who? Okay, in the corner over there. 17 points. You guys get $50 gift certificate. All right, where's my Thick Rick team? Thick Rick. Thick Rick. Thick Rick, come get your... Well, you guys... All right, y'all, thank you so much. Please make sure to close out your tabs. Tip your bartenders and Gravely staff well. And y'all, thank you so much for coming out to celebrate Bentley. This is awesome. This is definitely the most amount of people we've ever had at Nerd Night in the time that I've been hosting it. Second comes in, we had 60 people at our January this year event, so we definitely had over 100 tonight. Thank y'all. This was live streamed. We recorded it, so if y'all want to share it or watch any memories, from the event, then that'll be posted probably within the next couple weeks on Bentley's Facebook page and the Nerd Night Louisville page. If y'all want to come to Nerd Night Louisville, it's the last Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. with no trivia, but 3 amazing speakers talking about 3 different topics. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Let's give it up for Eileen for organizing this.
Oh, I do want to give a shout out to this guy, Farmer Vaughn. He helped me organize this as well. Fred in the back. Fred, raise your hand. He's the live streamer who donated his time to do this tonight. I've never met friend before tonight, and he donated his time to come out here and live stream and record. And then Dan unfortunately already had to leave, but the guy that was going around taking photos, he also donated his time to come out. And also, huge thanks to all you guys for coming, those who flew out and bravely. Thank you guys.
Todd. It's quite pretty cool. Really?